Faith Meeting Faith started because we were enjoying what we were doing so much together between the mosque and churches that we just wanted to open that experience up to other people, whatever their faith might be or whether or not they even have a faith.
My name is Rania Hussain, and I'm part of the organisation called Minhaj-ul-Quran, and I've been involved with the interfaith work for a good few years now, and been twinned with Liam here, and by profession I'm a driving instructor. I'm a mother and grandmother.
My name's Liam, merely a Methodist minister in Walsall, and part of, alongside Rania and a few others, a small group called Faith Meeting Faith that works to bring people of different faiths and them together to see each other as neighbours and create friendships.
We actually met, we were twinned, which we didn't actually know about it at the time, but I was told by Imam Ali from Minhaj-ul-Quran Mosque in Walsall that we had apparently been twinned with this church and had never heard of them, didn't really know too much about it. And then we met at a coffee shop in town, turned up, and it was just quite a friendly atmosphere. Liam was already there with lots of people from the church. I turned up with a couple of people from the mosque, and we had a lovely experience there. We had sat and we had coffee and we chit-chatted, and that was over 3 years ago now. And that was the first time we met.
Yeah. So I was there with Imam Ali when we got twinned, when we were told who we were twinning with. So I jumped in just before you, maybe by a day or two. But it was kind of like it's a bit like speed dating. I've never been speed dating, but it's a bit what I imagine speed dating was like. So it was all these kind of faith organisations lumped together in a room, and then you were kind of all paired off, and you had about 5 minutes to get to know each other. And then you were told that you were being twinned. And then what twinning means is that they hope that you kind of form some kind of relationship together. So that's what we decided to do, is what Rani's just explained, was to first meet in a cafe, which we hoped to be the most neutral and natural environment where people would feel welcome to come together. And then from that, we sought to do more kind of social occasions together. So what have we done? Picnics at the Arboretum have probably been the most popular thing, haven't they? But we've done lots of. So we've done visits to each other's places of worship. So it's Methodist churches in and around Walsall, and then Minhaj-ul-Quran Mosque in Walsall. So we visited each other's places of worship to learn more about one another. We've done picnics, coffee shop get-togethers. We've come to
iftar. Yeah, we did the iftar together when you came down to the mosque.
Yeah, we come during Eid and come during Ramadan and break fast together. So we don't worship together anyway, but we come and observe each other's worship. We come and learn about each other's faith communities, and then the majority of our time together is simply growing in friendship, isn't it? Eating together, is a big part of what we do. If Liz was with us, who's one of the other people who she's a Methodist minister in Walsall, she'd definitely be talking about cake. Lots about cake.
She loves samosas.
Yeah, lots. We share part of our faith tradition being Abrahamic faiths, so that's a really helpful starting point in coming together. Both of our faith traditions are very much community based, very outward focused, and lots of the things we're concerned about, lots of social issues are shared. At least that's what we've discovered. There's lots that we have in common. Rani, pick up the pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Where the faith is concerned, yes, we do have a lot in common. But I think generally, as just ordinary people, we were kind of getting to know each other and finding out how much we had in common. And then when COVID happened, I think one of the positives that came out of that is we actually did realize how much we do have in common, because we were all having the same kind of stresses and same kind of worries, and we were kind of there for each other, which is why I think this relationship, if you call it, has gone on for so long and gone from strength to strength, because we have got so much in common as people, just as generally, especially as British people, we have a lot in common. The way, we've looked at the effect of the COVID situation on everyone in our country, and that's brought out a lot of commonalities that we do have.
I think in a very kind of ordinary and everyday way, we find things in common about children, about our work, about our lives, about living in Walsall. It's not complicated. It's very everyday, very ordinary, and the same as you'd have with any other friendship, isn't it? Within your own faith community, we share many of the same conversations and concerns that you have with anybody else. But I also think it's good to focus on the things we have in common, but I also enjoy our differences, and we've got plenty of differences, and I think it's sometimes it's the differences that you're most blessed by, because I would say they're learning opportunities, and that's where we grow. That's where we discover more about each other and take a greater interest in each other. I think if we were completely the same, there wouldn't be much point in what we're doing. I think, obviously our commonalities stand in the way of some of the prejudices people too easily fall into and some of the misconceptions people have. But actually, I think it's in the differences between our faith communities where we get to learn and we get to grow and we get to experience something different. And it's at those times where I felt the need to reflect more deeply upon my own traditions and my own understandings. And that's been a kind of real blessing of an experience. I don't know if you've found the same to be true, Rani.
Yes, definitely. And also, when I visited a couple of your churches and I spoke to some of the ladies groups there, one of the things that I noticed that we did definitely have in common was the day-to-day running of our places of worship and the way we organize our little get-togethers. And I saw the ladies from the church. They were going through the same kinds of things that we go through when we're organizing a little gathering, and the way they were collecting their money. They were talking about who's going to be doing the food, and it made me think that yes, we actually do go through the same kind of scenario ourselves when we're organizing things. So even in our day-to-day running of our community centers and our places of worship, we definitely did have a lot in common, which we didn't realize. Well, I didn't realize. So yeah. I have not, absolutely not. I have come across people who weren't familiar with it, or who I can remember in the beginning stages, we needed to have a kind of a group to get involved with it. It was something new, and it was new for me as well. And then when I was going back and speaking to the people in the community, they were like, really, you're going to go to a church? So they were curious about it, but I didn't find any kind of negativity at all, because people were interested. Sometimes it was difficult for people to get involved, but they wanted to. Maybe it's just that I was approaching people similar to me who I knew would get involved, but I personally didn't have any. I mean, there were people that asked questions like, well, "What do we do if we go to a church? Then what do we do? You know, what happens there?" So people had a lot of questions, which was good. But I didn't come across anyone who didn't want to be involved or didn't want to, go to a church and visit and see how it was all about. So it was all positive from my side, to be honest. I don't know about you. What your experience?
I wouldn't say there's anyone that wasn't supportive or anyone that kind of tried to stand in the way or scupper things or anything like that. I think similar to what you were saying, Rani, there's people that came with their honest questions, and some people, I think, almost naturally respond to difference, in a sense that if we start mixing with a different faith tradition, what does that mean for our own beliefs? Will they be watered down, and that kind of thinking? Whereas actually, what we have found is, through the experience of meeting together, encountering difference, and getting to know people in another faith, it's actually in those conversations afterwards, when we're reflecting on those encounters, that we've actually fallen deeper into our own beliefs, into our own faith, because it's made us reflect on what we're about and what we're doing together as a Christian faith community. And if anything, it's kind of encouraged us in what we're already about, what we're already doing. So I wouldn't say anyone was unsupportive, but I do think there were those initial honest questions, fears or concerns. What will we have to talk about? Or meeting for food, or what do they eat?
Yes.
And I think it's more a fear that you'll find yourself to be uncomfortable, or a fear that you'll end up insulting somebody. But actually, once you kind of step into it, all of that kind of pretense has dropped, and you quickly settle into conversation and realize, like we were saying in response to the first question, that it becomes very ordinary very quickly. You start chatting about the weather, chatting about the headlines, chatting about life, and all that pretense is kind of falls away. So I think Faith Meeting Faith started because we were enjoying what we were doing so much together between the mosque and churches, that we just wanted to open that experience up to other people, whatever their faith might be, or whether or not they even have a faith. And we saw starting in the cafe scenario as being really beneficial, as a kind of inviting and recognizable place for most people, that we wanted to find a cafe in Walsall that would support an initiative that brought people together in this way. And thankfully we found Expressions Cafe, which were willing to give us a space on a Saturday morning, and we started that I think in January. So we had a couple of times before COVID got in the way, and it was fantastic. We filled out the room, and people were being a blessing to each other and enjoying sharing the space, sharing conversation and growing in friendship. And then since COVID hit, I don't know if you want to take on the reins there, Rani, in explaining what happened.
Well, we decided that things were moving online, so I think it was Holly that suggested it, actually.
Okay.
We could meet online. We could do it on Zoom, and I don't think any of us were too familiar with Zoom or doing things online. I certainly wasn't. I never needed to, but then it was really needed. We really needed to be able to speak to each other. So we decided to do it on Zoom, do it online. And it so happened that, I mean, in the cafe we were only meeting once a month, but on Zoom we actually get to meet every week. So we're actually meeting more now than we were before. So that's a good thing to come out of it. Of course, it's not the same. We can't sit and, you know, chit chat and have tea and sit for however long we want to. But it's the second best thing, really, and it has kept us going. I don't know how things would have been if we had not had Zoom. For it to have stopped would have been so sad. And the fact that we've been able to keep it going and we've been able to do it every single week has just been brilliant. But I'm glad that we did it in the cafe initially, because it was kind of, we started it there, so it was easy to then transfer it online. Had we never met and we were meeting online for the first time, I don't know, it might be different.
And I think what Faith Meeting Faith has shown us, and what our conversations on Zoom have shown us, is that, you know, these big occasions like the picnics, the visits to each other's places of worship, the breaking fast, are all great and wonderful experiences and opportunities, but actually it's really simply the friendships that are the most meaningful thing, and it's what really makes a difference in terms of establishing an interfaith initiative. It isn't just meeting for those events, but actually forming those friendships and sustaining them. You know, we meet on Zoom and we share our concerns, we laugh together, we cry together, we just share, and it's genuine friendship. There's no kind of underwritten agenda to any of it. It's spontaneous and a bit messy and beautiful. Yes. I think that's what faith meeting faith is all about, isn't it? And you know, the last few months of meeting online has shown that to be true. Mostly it remains Christian and Muslim, but we do have Hindu presence as well, which is absolutely wonderful. And like Rani said, if things had continued in the cafe, maybe that would have broadened more and more. That's what we hope to go back to. That's what we hope to explore, to bring more people into it. And we've been trying online. It's had some success in broadening, but we've kind of established a core group, haven't we? We're just looking forward to restarting things in the cafe and opening it up. You know, before COVID, I was visiting Gurdwaras, mandirs, different mosques everywhere, just to try and get the message out and saying this is what we're about. Some people, you know, probably it's my fault for trying to describe it and just confusing them. We were kind of a bit apprehensive. Others were really open to the idea. But I just hope that we can find that opportunity to kind of bring more people into it and really kind of value the diversity of Walsall and the friendships and among the neighbours that are in this town.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. I mean, yes, absolutely. Which is why, I mean, going back, I think this is a few months ago, before COVID happened, there was that attack that was on the Hindu temple in Plek, and because I'd already been involved with the church, and we were talking about how faiths come together, how different communities come together, that encouraged us to go and visit the temple. So when you learn from one area, of course you can work with in the same situation in another area. So it would be nice for us to branch out towards different other faiths. I think COVID kind of slowed us down, but it's not going to stop us. We will carry on. That's a good question, because I've actually been thinking about that. It would be nice to maybe keep something online going, even if it's for some other reason, a different branch of what we're doing maybe, but you know, we would definitely like to meet face to face and then do something online as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Continue that online relationship and invite more people in, but also it's great to meet face to face over kind of a cup of coffee and a piece of cake. Nothing better than that.